Welcome to the Philip Wiley Show. Take a look behind the curtain of professional hacking and hear compelling discussions with guests from diverse backgrounds who share a common curiosity and passion for challenges and their job. And now, here's your host, offensive security professional, educator, mentor, and author, Philip Wiley.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Philip Wiley Show. Today, I'm very excited to have one of my former students and friend, Chris Marks, joining. Chris was in the very first pen testing class that I taught at Dallas College. Back then, it was Richland College, part of Dallas Community College, but since has become overall as Dallas College. So one of my first students, and we knew each other from the community before that, and we've known each other for years. And it's actually the first time we actually kind of got to see each other on video or anything, because the pandemic shut a lot of things down, and Chris has been busy making a family, and we don't get to see him much anymore, but
no.
Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Who would have knew way back when I walked upstairs at the Main Street in Richardson for Dallas Hackers Association, they'd have brought us here.
Yeah.
Now you had a dislocated elbow then?
I tore like the end of my tricep tendon, tore the end of my elbow off is what happened.
Yeah. You had that cast on for a while.
Yeah. So that was the first time I saw you and Brian McInich.
Oh yeah.
That ran North Texas Cybersecurity Group. That was the first time I saw either one of you guys for the first time.
Yeah.
Long
time.
Yeah. And speaking of someone else that I met around that time too was Frank. I hadn't seen Franklin or talked to him in a long time.
I mean, Frank is in Atlanta.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, man. Frank is he's doing really well. He's in management, security management. He has his own team.
Cool.
Man, Frank, he still keeps up with his pen testing, not as much, but yeah, Frank is doing good, man. He application security.
Oh, cool. That's good.
So that leads it back to me. So I've been my want to get into cybersecurity started back watching Hackers. Like 90% of all people in cybersecurity. Remember, we was in it when before it was cool, before it was a buzzword. So I was at the University of Louisiana studying engineering. Didn't know how to get into cybersecurity. Didn't want to do computer science. Sorry, I didn't want to do it. But what happened was I got into my last year. I got into this group called the Tiger Trap Group, 2011, and it was centered around cybersecurity. We went to a number of places like Blue Cross Blue Shield. We got to talk to FBI agents. We got to know the different aspects of cybersecurity. We met up once a month for that year, and I was hooked. So towards the last year, I accepted a position. I was a network technician at the time while going to school, and I accepted a systems engineer position here in Dallas. Out of all the places, so rewind for like 9 months. For 9 months, I was applying to jobs every morning. That's back when careerbuilder.com was big. LinkedIn had just started, so nobody used LinkedIn. I'm dating myself, so yeah, great hair. But for 9 months, and I applied from California to Florida, all the way up to North Carolina. I was not going no further north than Carolina. Somebody told me you pick your places you want to live by the natural disasters, and I'm not made for the cold. I am not made for the cold at all. So I was applying. I applied to 3 jobs in Dallas, literally 3 jobs, and one of them called me from Dallas. I had 2 rounds of phone interviews, then got flown out to California for a 5-round, 3-hour interview session. That was grueling. Got the job, moved to Dallas. So I'm a systems engineer, and the company goes through layoffs. I get laid off. Last one in the door, first one out. So I knew I wanted to stay in Dallas. So I wound up going to get like 7 different IT certifications. Got another job as a system engineer. then got a job. I got a job doing cybersecurity work, the grunt work. So that led me to go, hey, meetups. Is anybody in cybersecurity? Lo and behold, Dallas Hackers Association. And as far there's different flavors now. There's different flavors of cybersecurity meetup groups, but there's nothing like Dallas Hackers. There's nothing like it's a bunch of eclectic people having great fire chat talks. I love it and I miss it. I love it and I miss it. We'll get to that in a minute. So that started me on my cybersecurity career profession, like, corporate, between engineer, architect, senior analyst, and now I'm in management. So I've done a number of things, but I haven't done everything. But I will credit Dallas Hackers to getting me out of my fear of talking in public. Because I gave a fire. That was like the first time I gave a fire talk. And when I gave a fire talk was actually just using Metasploit Pro, which, me being a total noob in hacking and all of that, was talking to a bunch of red teamers like yourself about using a platform, Metasploit Pro, to do a phishing email campaign.
Okay, I remember that talk.
Yeah. It was, my manager at the time, I had a great manager. He was like, what is this? I said, I found this tool. I talked to security operations. Nobody's using it. People don't even know we have it. And they were like, it's not costing anything. It's just not being done. He said, well, go to work. So I did a phishing email campaign. I eavesdropped on everybody in the office. I was seeing what everybody was talking about, whatnot. And one thing everybody talked about, which they hated, was the coffee. So what I did, I made a phishing email campaign saying, hey, we're going to pick out a new coffee flavor. I need you to log in using your username and ID and vote on the coffee. So we didn't tell anybody I was doing this, which is a major no-no. I know now, but it was also kind of my boss like, don't tell nobody. See what happens. This is trial by fire. That day they had a board meeting. The CEOs were having a board meeting, and people were getting, I had the landing page where, this is a information security project. If this was a real breach, you would have got hacked. But people didn't read all the way through, so they thought they was getting hacked. Somebody's in the system, this and that. It got to the board meeting. The CEO called the CISO, then called my manager, and then my manager was like, I got this. So long story short, we got on the conference call. The only reason they was mad is because they weren't getting any new coffee. That is the only reason. They were like, wait, we're not getting new coffee flavors? And I was like, no, this is just a phishing email campaign. So I actually started the first phishing email campaign, which goes on over there at one of my previous jobs. And then your course, like you were saying, Richmond College, I was like, so you're going to teach hacking? Cool. Let me go. Let me see what I need to know, get the basics, reconnaissance, learning from a hacker. Matter of fact, you're the reason why I prefer Parrot OS to Kali Linux. Going through that, application security, and then Tinker, which I don't know what happened to Tinker. I know he moved, but I ain't heard from Tinker in a minute. Told me about, hey, if you really want to learn more about it, take this. Your computer has Windows on it. Wipe it. Put this flavor of Linux on this. And let me tell you something. It was called Xubuntu. There's Ubuntu, and then there's Xubuntu. For those that might not know that, people who prefer Linux over Windows, they love punishment. They love punishment. Man is operating something else. It is one thing to try to install something on Windows. On Linux, it's a different thing altogether. Because first you want whatever program you want to install, You got to find the dependencies that needs to go with it. And then in certain cases, those dependencies need another dependency that which you might not get it. And then you have to upgrade and update every time you get, man, then find the right flavor. It is a pain. But I will say this. I learned Linux. I learned Linux. I learned, pen testing, not as I default to all the professional pen testers. That is your thing. Of course, I was a blue team guy, incident response, vulnerability management, working with different tools, application scanning, network scanning. Back when everything wasn't in the cloud, configuration management when it wasn't in the cloud, so there was no AWS config, there was no Azure config manager, security manager, nothing like that. So you had to use these different tools to get them on. Security architecture, going about that. So the red team part, the blue team is what I do. The red team is what I like to do. And so I'm a purplish kind of guy. And then my recent, not say recent, but my new adventure is security management. And the thing is yeah, I work in management, but you have to be technical. You have to know engineering. You have to know architecture. It doesn't stop. But that's where I stand. And my route was that I always knew what I wanted to do. It was just finding the way to do it. And power of God and knowing what you want, it just puts you in the right room. And being in the right rooms, because I also went to DC 214. I did go to DC 214, but and nothing against those guys, because you'll see DC 214 and Dallas Hackers and DC 214. It's just Dallas Hackers was in Richardson, which was closer to my apartment.
Yeah.
And then they went to Irving. So so now it's my career and my passion is it's not just about elevating, but it's also bringing up people too. Because I had people like you, I had people, mentors in college. And so right now I'm actually working with a couple of schools, community colleges, like on just my passion. They asked me how to build up their cybersecurity program, talk about cybersecurity. I'm trying to actually work at my university, simply because here's a topic. It's not as sexy as a 0-day vulnerability or any of those, but here's a problem in the cybersecurity and tech software development space. A lot of these students are coming out of college and they're not ready for the workforce. Like it's I guess because of the transition and technology changes, and now it's changing even more, especially with AI and whatnot. They don't have the resources. So what I'm trying to do is tell them what we're seeing from a corporate level, from the top level, what they need to know, what they should be doing on their own, because college is college. They have a curriculum. If you want to make it in life, you have to do more than just the bare minimum. So what to look for, what certifications to get, because one thing I will say, I had a degree when I got laid off, but a degree and certifications opens more doors to you. Just like certifications open doors, certification plus a degree can open more doors. So it's just one of those things that you have to be aware of. And I advocate for both. And I'm trying to get, and I've seen some colleges, some undergrad have the ability for students to go get like a certification for a certain class or whatever, teach cloud computing, or just start to break away. And, I appreciate it. You need both. You honestly do need both. So that brings me to 2023, where I can't get to these meetup groups like I want to anymore or at all, but I will be back. Because, I have two kids who, run me ragged. Here's the great thing. This is not work. This is all kids. So, but no, I do. Everything is evolving. Frameworks are evolving. Like you say, most people know about NIST. Most people know about ISO. There's different frameworks security frameworks and compliances that you have to to be aware of. So I encourage anybody to reach out, see what's new, because these companies are always looking for the new hotness when it comes to compliance.
Yeah, it's one of the areas that people really overlook, and it's good that people are interested in the hacking part, being a pen tester, but sometimes they just overlook a lot of awesome jobs, and some jobs that are kind of easier to get into, and they still pay well. So people, most cases, getting out of these colleges have no clue about compliance work, and that's good work. And it's not always the work people want, but it's easier. You have less competition when you're kind of going for a compliance job compared to a pen testing job, for one thing.
Well, now I would say there's more people trying to get
Okay.
into compliance. I will say that, but I
Good.
will say this: even with compliance, the importance of taking like a course like yours when it's given like web app and network penetration testing is because for compliances, every year we have to have a third party audit, at least 1 year. Like there's certain compliance when we talk about FedRAMP, TexRAMP, some state ramps, they're like requesting you do, external and internal pen testing. So when you do external pen testing, you bring in these people to do your pen testing, but how do you validate the results if you don't know what they're doing? You can't just take people's word, in for these pen testers. And I mean, don't get me wrong, ain't nobody's going to lie, but there is a spectrum of things that you need to know about. You need to know if it's a white box, if it's a black box, it's a gray box. What does that mean for your company? What does that mean for your compliance? Are you going for GBLA? Are you going for SOX? Are you going for high trust? Are you going for FedRAMP? There's all these compliances that want different aspects. So it's important to know. That's why besides being liking the pen testing, like I really do, and I envy those who do it. Of course, I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it every day. I go crazy. But you have to know what they're doing, and you better have to relate it from pen testing talk to the board talk. Because when the board asks, what does this mean? Like even vulnerability scans. Yeah, what does this medium mean? What does this high mean? You have to be able to explain it in board talk. Like this is money. I always say, cybersecurity, we don't make money. We're not the business that make money, but we are the business to save money. If I had to say the lines of business was a football team, since I love football and it's football season, your sales, your developers for functionality, that's your receivers, that's the people that make points. Your board is the front office, the senior management is the quarterback. Cool. What is security? Security is your offensive line. We block people from getting to your quarterback, from harming the business. And while we don't make money, you may win a couple of games with a bad offensive line. You won't win the Super Bowl without a good offensive line. So that's how I always put it. You need to invest in your offensive line.
That's definitely a good way of putting it. So since you kind of started on, you still believe in certifications and degrees. Is there anything you would do different if you had to start over again?
Man, let me tell you, I think about that a lot in my 40s. I think about that. But there's two answers. In a perfect world, I'd probably go back and study more of business applications with databases. Just because I had to learn that on the opposite end versus electrical engineering. But also, too, I think about if I made any mistakes or if I changed anything in the past, I changed my future or I changed my present. And the people I've met along the way became my connections to get where I am now. And then, I like my life. So all the hardships, and believe me, it was hard. It wasn't. I went to school went for 4 years. I wish I was in and out of school for a decade. I was in and out, just trying. I was working 3 jobs at one time. My first apartment was $385 a month. So that should let you know. That should let you know what kind of apartment it was. But you trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
You go through that hardship, then I moved. That prepared me for getting laid off, and that was a horrible summer. But I stuck to my guns. I knew what I wanted to do. Then balancing life. The pandemic hit. I had a 4 month. Well, actually, yeah, she was 5 months when the pandemic hit. Then, so dealing with all that, just life. So honestly, I wouldn't go back. I
Yeah.
wouldn't go back. The only thing is I wish I had databases. Maybe took some database classes,
Yeah.
but I met you. I met Tinker, Frank. I met my friend Sean. He got me hooked on Windows Azure. So yeah,
Yeah. It's one of the things too, is people underestimate sometimes the things that help you if
challenge.
everything came easy, sometimes you don't learn from it. It's the mistakes and things along the way. Because when I was a sysadmin, and I remember the first year of my career, I was just doing installs, server installs, and Windows installs. We were replacing servers and Windows desktops for this company. It was contract, and I went through this. I could install Novell network operating system in my sleep, or the Novell network operating system, Novell network. I could install it in my sleep, build servers and all this. And then went to work for a mortgage company, and it's like things broke all the time. Like our Novell GroupWise email every day at lunchtime to combat the problems. We were scheduled to reboot it before we went to Cisco switches.
Mhm.
We had these 3Com Lamplex switches that they rebooted on a daily basis. And things were constantly breaking. When you're on call, you're getting called all hours of the night. And
Man,
I was close to quitting, but I was stopped and thought I had that year's worth of all this install experience. I know how to install the operating systems, build a server easily, but I need the troubleshooting part. So I stuck it out, and it was one of the best things I did. I grinded through it, and I learned a lot from it. From that troubleshooting experience, I was able to apply to so many other areas in my IT career and security.
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I remember you telling those stories. Like, I remember you saying how you got into security. I'm like, and honestly, at DHA, we all need. Well, I know I needed to hear it, because I didn't know what the limit was. Like, what was the limit of my potential? What can I do? What I can't, or what I need to learn how to do? And it is those trials and tribulations that make you, who you are. Now, granted, I don't think I had the roughest ride into
Yeah.
security, but I do know how rough it can be. LinkedIn, like I said, LinkedIn exploded now, but before then, back when it was like monster.com, careerbuild.com, and it was what, two meetup groups in Dallas. It
Yeah.
was hard, man. It was slim pickings, to navigate. And then, now, so I just feel better now,
Yeah.
after doing all of that work, and then now knowing that I can go back and help people who want to get in. I've had a few requests. Nothing along the lines of you, of amount of people that wanted to know, but a few people asked, how do I get in? What's the best way? I have a degree. I don't have a degree. I want to do digital forensics, and God bless anybody that wants to do digital forensics, because man, is that tedious. Doesn't your wife do digital forensics?
Yes. Yep.
Bless her heart. And we need y'all, but it is not for me. Oh,
Yeah.
it is not for me. I took that one course in digital forensics. Nah, I knew mid semester. I'm like, this is not, ooh, not for me. But you learn a lot. Like, you learn the
Yeah.
difference between delete and erase, and the binary, and the DoD standards, and of erasing, and all of that. You live, you learn. Like, I picked up some stuff, but no, I can't do that. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Each their own. There's some things that just are not much fun, and some things that are, but if you find something you really like and you're passionate about, you're able to put that time and effort into it and really get good at what you're doing.
Man, like, people who do digital forensics, they love puzzles. They love because it is all it is watching and waiting. Of course, there's a documentation, the chain of custody, but when you're in there, you're trying to figure out what it is. God bless their heart. I'm just not for me.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Not
so
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. So yeah, we're getting down close to the end of the show. Is there anything you'd like to share before we conclude?
Man, all I want to say is, first of all, like I said, we've been in this before. Cybersecurity or information security was a buzzword, and people want to get in because now all they hear about is money, money, money. You can make money.
Yep.
Money. So let me be perfectly honest with you. If this is not your passion, you will get burned out, no matter what avenue it goes. And cybersecurity and IT, there used to be one. It's not. There's many avenues of IT and there's many avenues of cybersecurity. Like I said, application security, cloud security, digital forensics, red team, security architecture management, and malware engineering. There's all of that and then some. So you have to pick what you want to do, and then you have to be passionate about it. The money will come. The money, but don't get into this for the money, because you will not like it. And it's just like AI, artificial intelligence. People like, okay, that's gonna be big. Let me get into it. Is it your passion? Are you doing it for a check? Because you're not going to do this long term. You feel you've been doing this forever. Like you said, you did 140 some talks or something already. There's a lot of traveling. There's a lot of traveling that you do, a lot of talking you do, a lot of meetups that you go to, a lot of people you meet. Understand something that might sound cool, but it does get mundane. And if you don't like what you do, if you don't love what you do, you're going to hate it. So life is stressful enough. So if you want to do cybersecurity, there's ways. There's universities. There's community colleges. Definitely reach out to people who know it, who've done it. And then see where it takes you, if that's your passion. Because I love it. I don't want to do anything else. I don't do anything else. So this is for me till the day I retire. This is for me. And then I'll probably try to teach at Richland Community College like you did or something. Yeah.
That's the nice thing about the field. If you like it, you can change what you're doing. For me, I followed my passions and what I was interested in. Because going from a sysadmin, I was doing CAD drafting, doing AutoCAD. That's how I found out about sysadmin work. That sounded more interesting. Went into that. I found out about security, moved into that, found out about pen testing. So the nice thing about security is if you can move different areas, it's kind of, in my opinion, different IT. If you're an IT, if you're a database administrator, doesn't mean you're not going to, that's not transferable to Cisco routers.
No.
So if you're doing something in security, there's something you learn that you can use somewhere else. If you've got an audit background and you move into pen testing, there's some skills there that you're able to provide data better than your average pen tester. Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, people don't think about it. If you're a pen tester, you might want to look at auditing, because those auditors,
Yep. And auditors love you if you're a pen tester and you know how to speak their language and give them the information the way they need it.
Definitely. So that is my advice. So you can reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn, Christopher Marks on LinkedIn. Hey, if I can help in any way, answer a question, I don't mind. Somebody was answering my questions when I was, 10 years ago when I was asking. So 14. Ooh, okay.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So. Well, it's been really great watching your career. You've done really well for yourself. One of the things that's good to see that you moved into management, because sometimes, and if people don't want to, then they shouldn't. But sometimes to advance in your career, you have to consider things like management if you want to go to the next level, because, just staying an individual contributor, some people like that. And if you want career advancement, sometimes it's something you have to consider.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like, my next fire talk, and somebody steals my topic, I'm gonna be upset. But we are talking about vulnerability management a lot, but we don't talk about the vulnerabilities in management. Like, having the right, you want the right people, but sometimes we don't talk about, hey, we need to get the right people, but the quantity of right people for what we need. And then on the flip side, because I've been in other companies where our team was too big, and I'll say it, I know that's crazy, and I'm just giving you an example. We had somebody submit a ticket to the vulnerability management team to that, like a developer would send a ticket to the vulnerability management team. Okay, so that means one person takes the ticket to run a scan. Then another analyst takes that scan and tells the results back to the developer. That's too many hands. Like we're wasting time because you got to submit the ticket, wait for that to get done, get the scan, that got to be done, email to you, then go back to the developer to schedule a time to, talk about the results. Where I like to do is, oh yeah, the scanning is me. Yeah, okay. Tell me the report's gonna go straight to the developer, and we're gonna already have a scheduled meeting in the spot because I want the developer to see the results first, and then we could talk about it in a meeting and see if it's a false positives or real vulnerabilities. So just kind of empower the developer just a little bit. Security, we are known to be the no guys, and that I want to get that stereotype away. We're not the no guys. We're just the guys to tell business how to securely do business. So we got to give our evidence. So that's
great advice. That's been a problem since the beginning of cybersecurity or information security is, security tell people no, and you really have to help the business continue to function. You just got to help them do business securely.
That's it. So I appreciate this, Phil.
Oh, it's great having you on. I've intended to have you on, but it's just never got the schedules lined up, and so finally it did. So
you got about 100,000 people that you can put on. So it's not even a joke. The number of people in cybersecurity worldwide, you'll never run out of content or guests.
Well, thanks for joining. It's been great having you on and sharing your story with the listeners.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode.
All right.
Thank you for listening to The Philip Wiley Show. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, to learn more about Philip, go to thehackermaker.com and connect with him on LinkedIn and Twitter @Philip Wiley. Until next time.